Bijanashaha Tasmad Karyam. Will you say it in full? Karyanashat Bijanashas Tasmat Karyam. Nirodhayet. There is an inseparable bond between cause and effect. An effect can be only from a cause. And what is an effect? Cause itself in a different form is the effect. What is not in the cause can never be in the effect. So it is a reformation or a reappearance of the cause. So much is the inseparable bond between the two. Therefore, he says, this world is an effect, and your mind and thoughts and imagination are the cause. Because the two are inseparably bonded, you may not be able to go into the source, the mind always, but lay hands upon the effect and then reduce and dispense with the effect. When you do so, you will find Karyam Nirodhaye. This is how people in our country become ascetics. Why are they becoming ascetics? This is the reason. The moment they are in the world, what will happen? Many things will have to be done. You think of marriage. After all, what is marriage? It is a relationship to live closely and intimately, a decision taken by a boy and a girl. It appears to be very sweet, nice and very good in plan. They get married. After some time, does it stop there? No. They have pregnancy, one child, sometimes 2, 3, 4, etc. Now, initially it was only living together. Now it has become what? Rearing a whole family. And does the family stop there? No. From children, it grows into grandchildren. And from grandchildren, it grows into the next generation. What are you trying to think? Initially, it was only an act of marriage, living together by two people. Now it has become a huge population. Now, this Karya and Karana are very much interlinked. The Karana is within your mind, inside the body, you may not be able to do anything. So, at least restrain and regulate the effect. What is the effect? That is why I say many people choose to become ascetics only because they don't want to get involved in this worldliness further and further and further. So by controlling or regulating the effect, you can also equally regulate the cause. The two are interlinked. So you may not suddenly be able to lay your hands upon your mind and the thought process, but at least be safeguarded in bringing about or quoting external objects and object relationship. Have a regulated life. Have a moderate life. Do not indulge in anything immoderately or extravagantly. Let there be a control and a moderation. This moderation will help you in your life. This is what Krishna says, Yuktahara viharasya, Yukta cheshtasya karmasu, Yukta swapnababodhasya, Yogo bhavati dukha. A man who practices moderation in every walk of his life, for him this yoga is very comfortable and easy, he says. So that regulation, moderation, sparingness. That is why people are told, marry once and one person. Have one or two children. Live as a family. And the whole process should be to attenuate your desires and involvement. A good life is a moderate life. A good life is a regulated life. A good life is not extra indulgence, extravagance. It is not stinginess also. That moderation, 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 regulation is the watchword. Karyanashad bijanashaha. When you start reducing these external connections, external dependences, etc. on objects, when that is taken away, tasmat karyam nirodhaye, then you will find the mind comes under control. That is why Bhagavad Gita repeatedly says, Indriya Nigraha, Indriya Nigraha, restraint and regulation over sensory indulgences. This is something very important. Vasana vruddhidah karyam, karya vruddhya cha vasana, vardhade sarvatha pumsaha, samsaro na nivartade. When you were alone, you had to think only about yourself. When you got married, at least 2 people you have to think about. When there is a child, it becomes 3. After some time, geometrical proportion. So this is something that you have to understand. Vasana vruddhidah karyam, karya vruddhya cha vasana. When the desires go on increasing, you pamper them. So many effects also go on increasing. Karya vruddhya cha vasana. When the effects go on increasing, the desires also go on increasing. Vardhade sarvatha pumsaha, samsaro na nivartade. Like that, if you indulge in sensory objects, they gain influence over your mind, and the mind in turn starts getting further motivated, further instigated, then further activity, like that it goes on multiplying. The regulation should be in your personality in the sensory level. You know Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter, while discussing Sthita Prajnata and Sthitadhitva, it says, Vashehi yasya indriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. When the senses are under control and moderation, his consciousness becomes steady and stable. So much is the relation between the two. Tamsara bandha vichityai tadvayam pradahed yadihi vasana vruddhiredabhyam chintaya kriyaya behihi. I am a little doubtful whether these verses will be interesting to you. Are they? So I am not explaining them very well. Samsara bandha vichityai tadvayam pradahed yadihi vasana vruddhiredabhyam chintaya kriyaya behihi. Samsara bandha vichityai tad dvayam pradahed yadihi pradahed yadihi vasana vruddhihi etabhyam chintaya kriyaya behihi. In order to get relieved of worldliness, samsara bandha vichityai, if you want to get rid of worldliness, what should be done? Tadvayam pradahed yatihi. An ascetic person or ascetically inclined seeker, what he should do? Both of them he should destroy, burn off. What are these both? Vasana or desire in the mind and external activity on the other. Both of them have to be suspended or dissolved. Vasana vruddhihi etabhyam. As long as you are indulging in the thought and contemplation of so many objects, and also you take up a number of activities, then you will find the desires will go on multiplying endlessly. Therefore, vasana vruddhiredabhyam chintaya kriyaya behihi. Chinta means the mental process. Kriya means the external sensory process. Both are contributing to the growth and the preponderance of desires. I would like to make an analysis here. Shall I explain it?
Yes.
Will you be able to come with me? See, even a spark of this understanding, it is so very effective. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing in this world as purifying as knowledge. I told you and you have agreed that this world is an outcome of our wakefulness. Is it clear?
Yes.
An outcome of our wakefulness. The wakefulness itself is a display of our consciousness. Is it clear?
Yes.
See, we wake up, and the moment we wake up, our mind starts employing the senses, and the senses starts perceiving the objects. The senses are made by whom? Not by the world. The senses are made in the mother's womb by the power within the body itself. So in perceiving the world, what role does the world have? I am perceiving the world with my senses. I was sleeping, I woke up independently. And when I woke up, I started employing the senses. As a result of which, I perceive the world. So the entire world is a process and outcome of my own consciousness. Is it not? Okay. Once you agree this, I would like you to think a little more. Our body is very limited. We know it is a very small body. Inside this body, where I perceive the world and give it descriptions like it is infinitely long, it is infinitely spread out, there is an ample variety in this world. Very huge trees, taller than I am, very huge mountains, far bigger than everything. The expanse of the sea, the water, then the sky, so many stars, luminaries. We always say inside and outside. Our mind is seemingly inside the body. Seemingly? But in dream, it produces a world. And that world is physical, gross and outside. So how can the inner mind produce an outer object? Not clear. How can an inner mind produce an outer object? See, mind being inner, can it produce anything outer? But the entire dream is an outer creation. And it is taking place within the body. Within the body, if the whole dream were to be true, we would have broken away. So our mind has got capacity, consciousness has got capacity to give you the notion of inside and outside. There is neither inside nor outside. These are notions produced by consciousness. When we sleep, we have neither inside nor outside. The moment you wake up, it becomes external and internal. So that which produces external and internal is beyond both. This is the mystery. This is the mystery of consciousness. Consciousness is such a thing, you cannot define it. It is not matter, it is not energy. This is what is going to happen. Samsara bandha vichityai tadvayam pradahedyadihi vasana vruddhiredabhyam chintaya kriyaya bihi. The external activity will only conduce to furtherance of the mind, furtherance of the desires. And if you indulge in thoughts and desires of the object, then you will find that also goes on increasing. So that mental indulgence as well as the external activity, both of them will have to be regulated, and you have to constantly think that there is no scope for two. Differential outlook is wrong. It is all one and one. Go on thinking. For the devotees, it is like this. Perceive God in everything. Everything. Good, bad or indifferent. In you perceive Him. In the world outside you perceive Him. In the good, in the bad. So that continuous perception of the singular God will completely change your mental structure. And for the seekers of truth, people who are given to Vedanta, Brahma pratyaya santatir jagadato Brahmaiva sat sarvataha Pashyadhyatmadrisha prashanta manasa sarvasvavasthasvapi Rupabanyadavekshidam kimabhidah Chakshushmatam drishyate Tadvad brahmavidah Sadah kimaparam Buddher viharaspadam. This is actually a verse from Viveka Chudamani itself. Brahma pratyaya santatir jagadato Brahmaiva sat sarvataha. The entire creation is from Brahman, the Supreme Reality. If the Supreme Reality Brahman has given rise to this wonderful multiple world, it always remains Brahman. If it is born of Brahman, see, a human mother has given birth to a child. Will not the child be human? So whatever is born from Brahman will remain Brahmic. So understand, Brahma pratyaya santatir jagadato Brahmaiva sat sarvataha. It is always the Sat, the reality Brahman. Pashya, see this. Adhyatmadrisha, by a spiritual vision, by fostering the spiritual outlook, not material outlook, energial outlook, sensory outlook. It is an outlook that you have to develop spiritually. Prashanta manasa, keeping your mind calm. Sarva swavastha swabi. In all the states, you remember this. The world is born of Brahman. So many ornaments are made of gold and they remain golden. A number of pots are made from earth clay and they all remain clay. In the same manner, the world born of Brahman will continue to be Brahman. Foster this spiritual outlook and see everything in this manner, in all the states. How is it possible if you ask? Vedantins will give you very good examples. Rupavanyadavekshidam kimabhidah chakshushmadam drishyate. You know what does it mean? Those people who have eyes, whatever they say with the eyes, they see with the eyes. Are they not colored and shaped? People who have eyes, whenever they employ the eyes, open the eyes, they will only see color, rupa and shape. In the same manner, people who think of Brahman and know Brahman, they will only find Brahman anywhere and everywhere. Tadvat brahmavidah sadah kimaparam buddher viharaspadam. For their intelligence, there can be and there will be nothing other than Brahman to give them delight and satisfaction. Just like people with eyes, when they open, they see only shapes and colors. People who are given to Brahma Vichara, they will only find Brahman anywhere and everywhere. They will never speak about an ego. They will never speak about a birth, about a death, about a further birth, about karma, about bandhana, about moksha. Nothing they will speak about. Brahman alone is there in their perception, in their comprehension, in their experience, in their sport. I don't know whether you like this talk. I am afraid whether it's becoming a little subtle and distant from you. Tabhyam prabardhamana sa Sude samsridima atmanaha Trayanam chakshayobhayaha Sarvavasthasu sarvada Sarvatra sarvatas sarva Brahmamatravalokanaih Sadbhava vasanadhardhyad Tatrayam layamashnude Tabhyam Pravardhamana Sa Sute Samsrudim Atmanaha Trayanam Cha Kshayopayaha Sarvavasthasu Sarvada Sarvatra Sarvataha Sarvabrahmamatravalokanaih Sadbhava vasanadardhyad Tad Trayam Tatrayam Sadbhava vasanadardhyad Tatrayam Layam Ashnude Layam Ashnude. See, Viveka Chudamani is a Jivan Mukti Shastra. What is meant by Jivan Mukti? Mukti generally denotes freedom. In a good language we say it is liberation. Whenever you speak of freedom, you should understand and also specify what is it that you are suffering from or bound by. Depending upon your bondage, you will need liberation from it. So you have to arrive at a conclusion as to what is the bondage that you are referring to and where is this bondage. If you ask me, the shackles which our mind either produces or suffering from, that is called bondage. So far as the mind is concerned, whatever functions of the mind are there which are troublesome to you, they are called bondage. I don't know whether you will be able to specify it. I have been speaking about Viveka Chudamani for so many years here. Tell me whether desire is binding or free. So that is actually a bondage. What about possessiveness that you have? Is it releasing or binding? What about ego? That is also binding. Now these are primarily the three shackles the mind imposes by itself. Freedom means you become free from these. That this freedom, what does it really mean? You will be able to live in this world better, act better, interact better, enjoy better, suffer better. While living in this world, we will certainly have some good moments. We will equally have some bad moments. In the hands of our family members and family life also we will have this. Now you should not be tormented by anything whatsoever. So the mind becomes flexible, it becomes light-hearted, it becomes transparent, it becomes reconciling, that resilience increases and you will be able to take to anything and also leave anything. This is called freedom. Generally the word mukti has got a religious connotation. That connotation makes us always think that it is a condition or a state where we will not have to enter the mother's womb again. This is an idea, a mythological idea of bondage. When we say Jivan Mukti, it is entirely different. As you are living now with a number of shackles, troubles, torments and afflictions, in the same manner you must be able to live here without these with freedom. Where bondage is felt, there itself Mukti also will be experienced. If it is in the mind, it is in the mind. If it is in the intelligence, it is in the intelligence. So mind creates it by discontent and desire, possessiveness, ego and the like. Intelligence creates bondage by doubt and confusion. Ignorance is one, doubt is another. So the psycho-intellectual shackles which make us suffer, not feel comfortable, they are called the binding elements. And these elements will have to be freed from. That becomes mukti. So this is a Jivan Mukti Shastra, and it is written by Shankara. Shankara himself was an ascetic. Why did he become an ascetic? You mean to say to be an ascetic is a flair or is an option? If you ask me, it is a compulsion, a persuasion for everyone.